What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the movie for What If Naruto Had Thunder Breathing. This one is definitely going to be one of those series where you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. Number one, because we're going to be having the lovable and hateable personality of Zenitsu thrown in there with a little bit of lightning style sprinkled in just for the effects. That said, if you guys are going to enjoy today's video, then definitely make sure to go down below, slap that like button, hit the subscribe button, and also join the family, since you guys can get early access to videos like this and many others. That said, enjoy.
Hey Ross, sauce it up.
Alright, so we start a story when Naruto turns 4 years old. At this age, his entire life would have pretty much been a little bit of pampering from Hiruzen and from the people in the Hokage Tower. He would have pretty much gotten used to that, so when he ends up turning 4 years old and Hiruzen ends up telling him about the fact that he now has to live on his own, Naruto turns into a completely different person, from how happy and go lucky and non-caring about things he was, to now being terrified of living alone in his very own house and being scared of the fact that he's now going to be sleeping in the dark by himself. Before, he used to have Hiruzen's maids and things like that take care of him anytime that he was afraid or even stay with him during the night, but now he has to stay alone. And he would have also been born with the red iconic Uzumaki hair this time around, but obviously that's only because I want the lightning thing to happen. Regardless though, pretty much what ends up happening is that as soon as he pretty much gets moved out, he pretty much is told by Hiruzen that he now has to start training to become a ninja. And well, Naruto doesn't really like that, because it was never his dream at all to become a Hokage or to even become a ninja. He would proceed to start refusing, saying that he doesn't want to be a ninja, and pretty much telling Hiruzen that if he becomes a ninja, he'll die. But eventually, after Hiruzen tells him and assigns ninjas to pretty much keep Naruto from running away, Naruto has to pretty much stay. He can't run away from the village because he's just simply not strong enough. And eventually, after so many failed attempts, it would finally happen where he just decides that he's never gonna get out of this. So by the time that he's 10 years old, he finally just gets the message and would try to run away every now and then, but like it just doesn't work. He is forced to train every single day. And the thing that Naruto would be trained in are essentially the basics of ninjas. Now, Naruto would believe himself to be weak just due to the fact that he's surrounded by so many people that are so much stronger than him. So him having the ability of water walking and tree walking at this age doesn't impress him and doesn't seem impressive to him because of what everybody else can do. He's literally putting himself up against Hiruzen instead of the people of his own Genin Academy. Like, if he was to realistically pick himself up against them, he would probably be the most powerful in the classroom. He would pretty much be forced to train with his chakra control, and it would be discovered from an insanely early age that Naruto actually has a very potent, like probably one of the most god-gifted lightning affinities ever, where it's just so easy to him. It's like natural, but it's something that he always refused to do, and for some reason he's never realized how truly talented he really is at it. And eventually, obviously, one day would come where he is struck by lightning, because, you know, we do need that iconic Zenitsu hair and outfit, of course. But regardless of that, he would have to train every single day, and even until he's around the age of 13 and graduating, he would still have that iconic Zenitsu personality that we all love and hate at the same time. So around the time of the academy graduation day, Naruto would pass because he can do all the bare minimum things, and he's actually a lot stronger than he lets on. So, you know, everybody kind of ends up passing, and he will kind of crap himself if he ends up encountering a high-ranking ninja. Like, if he sees any ninja, he will like get so terrified, because he just doesn't acknowledge how strong he truly is, and he just thinks that he's just this weakling. Like, because everybody in the academy tells him that. Even the ninjas that are watching over him, he's heard them saying that he's weak and that, you know, he only has lightning, and that's about it. And during those last couple of years, Hiruzen would notice that Naruto's like not want to train would pretty much lead him to not be able to pretty much do anything So eventually Hiruzen told him to just get good at one thing at the very least. And so Naruto began working on the, on the lightning style, thunderclap and flash. Working on it every single day by himself. Nobody's teaching him, and he would have actually ended up developing his own breathing style just due to the fact that after so many times of just getting beat, eventually he had to master his breathing to the point where it almost was like easy and second nature to get flung and sent flying by the ninjas that he would be training with, and to keep his breath going, because sometimes he would begin hyperventilating. So that's pretty much how he's going to be learning the thunder breathing style. It's something that he's going to be developing on his own, and something that's just going to come inherently natural to his body. I know that's a little bit of a plot device that I'm going to be using, but just bear with me. It's just the very beginning of the series. Anyways though, so eventually the day of the graduation would come, and because he does pass, Mizuki doesn't offer him the opportunity of stealing the scroll. Instead, that is offered to another kid that actually is caught, and then Mizuki would be taken in by the authorities of Konoha. But after this, we pretty much just have Team 7 being assigned. And once Naruto finds out that he's actually going to be on the same team as Sakura, Naruto lunges at the opportunity. He's like, oh yeah! Like he is blatantly excited about the fact that he got teamed up with a girl. Like that's all he wanted. He didn't care what girl, but he wanted to be teamed up with one girl, like in general. When he was a kid, he still did end up having that situation that happened with Hinata, and her pretty much being saved by him just because, something inside him told him to always protect women. So that's like pretty much the only time that he can ever actually step up and do something for himself. He of course won the fight and chased those kids off, and now Hinata has a crush on him forever, but he's pretty much blatantly blind to it. And he thinks that she's just friendly for some reason, but that's not even the case, bro. Like, she clearly has the hots for you, bro. Do something about it. But regardless though, obviously he is a kid, so nothing really is gonna happen here. Those feelings from Hinata will always remain, and Naruto will just have this obsession of girls that would even sometimes happen to Hinata, which she would like, but she thinks that it's kind of like it happens to everybody, so she's not like that, like, oh, like he clearly likes me more than everybody else, you know what I mean? So it's like but anyways, they would all graduate, and when Naruto finds out that Sakura is on his team, he would lunge and try to hug her, and she just punches him square in the face, and he's like, get off of me. And Sasuke would look at him and be like, pathetic. Can't believe that you were ranked any high points near me at all. Like, look, you're such a loser, you're a coward. And Naruto would feel bad about himself and begin crying, being like, why would you say that to me? You know what I mean? And eventually, Iruka would calm him down, and eventually Kakashi comes into the classroom only to pick up his sorry squad, which is, Sasuke, Sakura, and, well, Naruto. And when he sees Naruto, he sees those blue eyes, he immediately thinks back to Minato and hopes that, Naruto will be somewhat similar to that. And oh boy, is he absolutely wrong. His son is the biggest coward ever. He's never seen something quite as bad as this, but here it is in all of its full display, and he now has to kind of deal with it. So yeah, but regardless though, what would end up happening is we essentially just get the scene where Sasuke gives his goal, and Sakura would as well, with Naruto saying that his goal is to live another day, and that his dislikes is becoming a ninja. And Kakashi would ask him, why are you here? But Naruto would say that the old man forced him, and that he has no real choice, that he has to do this, because it's like, if he doesn't, then all the money that he would have put into training Naruto would have been gone to waste, and that all the years and time that he was training would have gone to waste as well. And that he doesn't want to disappoint the old man, but he's terrified of being a ninja. And Sasuke would look at Naruto and just like give him this look of just disdain, because it's like, what are you doing here? You're just gonna hold my squad back. Sakura would think it's kind of a sad story for Naruto and kind of like empathize with it a little bit, but in the end, because she sees Sasuke doesn't like Naruto, being the bandwagon she is, she would definitely decide to go on the I hate Naruto bandwagon train. And so this would be the beginning to a very iconic love-hate relationship between the entire Team 7, where Kakashi understands Naruto a bit, but he also was like, why are you here then? And Sasuke completely hates him, and Sakura's like, okay, I understand, but I still don't really like you that much. And You know, that's kind of just the relationship dynamic that they have going on right now. But the next day during the bell test would happen, and what I see happening here is essentially Naruto doesn't rush in at Kakashi, and he actually goes to hide just like, you know, Sasuke would. Eventually, after remaining in the shadows for long enough, and nobody even rushing Kakashi, Sasuke decides that it's up to him to take those bells. And so, you know, he goes in there and he tries to take the bells from Kakashi. But unfortunately, he is a genin. So he's not even close to taking the bells from Kakashi, and he does impress him with a fire style jutsu, but that's pretty much about it. And Naruto would be watching Sasuke from the sidelines just being like, he's so awesome. Like, I wish I could be as cool as he is. And Sakura would be right next to him being like, are you ready, Naruto? And Naruto's like, no, you go ahead. And you know, she rushes in, she's like, cha! But Kakashi gets her in a genjutsu, and then Sasuke is tied to the pole with Sakura being tied as well. Eventually, the day would come to a close where, you know, Naruto's the only one with food since he never even attacked or anything. And Naruto would just be eating his lunch and eventually be looking at Sakura as he feels bad that, you know, she doesn't get to eat. And he's like, I don't care if I'm sent back to the academy. I have to make sure that she's fed. You know what I mean? And so he like gets up and starts feeding Sakura. And Sakura is like, please feed Sasuke. Naruto, after hearing that from her, he's like, I'll do whatever you want. And, you know, he rushes at Sasuke and begins feeding the food down his throat so unbelievably fast, Sasuke almost chokes in like very devious, demonic way almost, where he's like trying to choke Sasuke. And it's really funny, but like, Sakura's like, yo, chill. And he stops, and Sasuke like, gives him this death stare of like, bro, too much food. And Naruto then pretty much gets scared as Kakashi appears behind him, and he's like, you. And Naruto's like, I didn't mean to, I swear. Please, fail these two, not me. And, you know, Kakashi's like, you passed. And Naruto's like, wait, what? And then eventually Kakashi reveals that the true point of the exercise was teamwork, and that because he was willing to put himself under the bus in order to keep both of his teammates fed and able to continue on with what their current goal is, they all pass because of Naruto's unselfishness, right? And so Naruto smiles and he's like, oh, wow, great. And so following this, we pretty much end up jumping into 2 weeks worth of useless D-rank missions, which Naruto would love, by the way, because he knows that eventually he's gonna have to go on hard missions, or so he's heard from the ninjas that have been training him all his life. And Naruto pretty much is like pretty excited about the D-rank missions, but he's scared about how long these missions are gonna finally go on for. So they would happen for about 2.5 weeks, just because since this time Naruto's not gonna speak up, nor will Kakashi, they get an extra half week to pretty much just do whatever they want. And these 2-week range of missions, Naruto would be extremely proficient at. He would decide that these are the ones he's gonna try his best on. And obviously because they're D-rank mission, they get paid like $2 or something like that. It's really not that much. But, you know, he gets paid something. And, you know, Naruto decides to want to go out for ramen because it's still his favorite food. He still loves ramen. And Teiuchi still is one of the only people who kind of supports Naruto and tells him to do his best. Naruto's pretty thankful for that opportunity and for the fact that anybody whatsoever gives a damn about him. I apologize, guys, if you guys hear those police sirens in the background. I live in a very bad neighborhood. But anyways, I'm joking, by the way. But basically what ends up happening after this is finally the day would come when Kakashi requests a higher ranking mission, and Hiruzen would actually end up giving it to them, saying that with the team that he has on his squad, they should be able to complete this fairly simple C rank. And so Tazuna enters the room and immediately begins being drunk and just absolutely berating the entirety of Team 7, saying that they're garbage and that they're this and that. And, you know, nobody exactly here would be having a great time because it's like, bro, like, you're sitting here talking smack to the team. Like, nobody likes that. But it's like, whatever, you know what I mean? And pretty much what ends up happening here is we get a situation where like Naruto was terrified of the next day because he knows that, you know, secret mission could, like, serious things could still happen. He's heard it before, like secret missions sometimes can be dangerous, but a part of him is like, okay, just bandits, that's all we'll encounter. And, you know, that's what he's hoping for. And eventually the day would come and Naruto would have all of his supplies on his backpack. He has the iconic Zenitsu outfit with the headband on his neck, and him pretty much just walking through, just kind of accepting things how they are. And eventually it would happen where pretty much they're walking and the demon brothers pretty much rush into them, and Kakashi would get killed in front of Naruto's eyes, right? And the second that Kakashi is killed, Naruto he passes out. Naruto loses consciousness. He immediately drops to the floor and he's like, look, you know what I mean? Like, Naruto is donezo's. That's it. Like, Naruto is done for. Is not coming back from that. But because Naruto pretty much is donezo's now, you know, it's up to pretty much Sasuke to try to defend against both demon brothers, since Naruto's too scared to react and he's just unconscious. Sasuke would hold one of the demon brothers off, and eventually another one of them would actually rush towards the direction of, well, the bridge builder. And Naruto would pretty much be laid out on the floor right in front of him. And as the demon brother comes in and his arm gets closer to actually stabbing Tazuna and Sakura is in the way, Naruto's like body would just move on its own. Naruto would grab a hold of his sword and just cut the entire hand of that demon brother off in a so fast of a motion that Sasuke and Sakura didn't catch it. But Kakashi sure did, and Naruto would remain on the ground until eventually, like, the demon brother jumps back, missing an entire, like, half an arm, and Kakashi finally takes them both down and begins to interrogate them about what they're doing here. Right? They reveal that they're here to capture Tazuna, and Kakashi would do what he has to do. He offs the demon brothers, leading to Naruto obviously still being unconscious and eventually having to be carried by Kakashi on his back. A couple of hours would pass and eventually Naruto would end up waking up, but he would wake up in a very, very late fashion. And eventually what ends up happening here is that Naruto essentially just kind of like wakes up right when they are encountered by Zabuza, because Kakashi wakes him up. But the second that Naruto is woken up and he sees Zabuza and he just sees like the sword and he can feel the presence of Zabuza there, Naruto begins to literally tremble with fear. And he's like, I knew it. I knew I would die today. Why? Why did this have to happen to me? Hiruzen, why? Why do I have to become a ninja? You know, he's freaking out. And Zabuza laughs at Kakashi and his squad members, saying that he's such a pathetic loser of a ninja and that no ninja that he's ever encountered has trembled quite like him. He would revel in seeing Naruto in the state that he is in right now, and Naruto would pretty much look at Zabuza as, you know, he shoots a shadow clone at his direction, which Kakashi would stop. But because of this mere fact that the shadow clone rushed at him and said he's gonna kill him, Naruto immediately passes out. And he's just out. He's out like a light, and the dude is just like sitting there on the ground, dead passed out, while Kakashi says, team, I'll handle him. And eventually we get the iconic Kakashi versus Zabuza fight. One of the best fights in all of Naruto, might I add, because this is back when it was just taijutsu, basic ninjutsu, and subtlety when the fights were going on, and it's not like god level fights. You know, I kind of just miss those old days of the Naruto series. Regardless though, we do end up getting the point in time where Kakashi does actually get captured by Zabuza. And eventually Kakashi pretty much tells the team to get out of here, that he's not worth it, and that he doesn't want to see his Genin squad die, to essentially abandon the mission and like just try to save Tazuna, like to leave him behind, right? And Zabuza's watching this and he's like, ha ha ha, Kakashi, that's not gonna happen. He sends out 6 water clones towards the direction of the squad, and they immediately have one decision to make. Do they run? Do they stay? Like, what's going on? Naruto in the original would be there to try to back Sasuke up, and with his vow from the last battle would have been able to try to at least fight off these clones. But because he's not there, Sasuke is forced to rush in and have to fight off against one of these clones. But as this is happening, Naruto stands up and he's like looking down at the floor. It would be similar to the scene where Zenitsu finally uses his thunder breathing for the first time, and we basically just get the scene where Naruto clasps the hilt of his katana and he just literally blitzes at each and every single one of the clones, beheading them all in just such a fast rate that literally it looks as if lightning just like flash right in front of them. He's literally at Raikage levels of speed right now because he has the lightning cloak around him inadvertently, along with thunder breathing, as well as the fact that Naruto is using the lightning style thunder clap and flash, which he would use to completely behead Zabuza, mind you. His body would run on water and he would just bam, slash at the head of Zabuza as it falls clean off of his shoulders, and Haku would watch as Zabuza dies right in front of him. Now, Haku, watching from the bushes and from afar, would think that there's no way that that kid just did that. But Naruto then, is grabbed by Kakashi and taken back to the land as Haku comes flying in with full intent to kill Team 7, and Kakashi now has to face off against a full-powered Haku, with Sasuke being his support and Sasuke using fireball style jutsus to try to, help out in any way, shape, and form. Now keep in mind, Naruto's still on the ground passed out, and Kakashi would eventually be trapped in the ice mirror jutsu, with Sasuke trying to use the fire style to save him. But eventually, after watching Kakashi be tagged by so many Senbon, Sasuke would decide that he can't keep watching this, and the emotions inside of him would overwhelm him to the point where he activates the Sharingan inadvertently from despair of needing to be able to keep up with Haku's movements. Now Haku would be going absolutely berserk on Kakashi, and Kakashi would be literally stepping on death's door. But as this is all happening, Naruto would finally do something for the first time in this entire series. He immediately stands up once more, and as soon as he stands up, he just blitzes inside of the ice crystal mirror thing, and using the thunderclap and flash technique once again, he would ricochet himself off of the mirrors faster than Haku himself and slice straight through Haku's neck, leading Haku's head to fall straight on the ground, and Kakashi and Sasuke to have both bared witness to Naruto's absolute godlike speed, faster than even Kakashi himself, with Kakashi having to carry Naruto all the way back to Tazuna's house, and Sasuke just being shocked at the levels of speed that Naruto's able to pretty much let out. This would lead to a process of about 2 weeks worth of, Team 7 staying at Tazuna's house for Kakashi to recuperate, Naruto to finally wake up, and eventually them to ask Naruto what happened, with Naruto saying that he has no idea what they're talking about, and that if they want to play a prank on somebody, to play it on someone else, that he's not that fast and that they're joking. But Kakashi would tell Naruto that he is not joking, and because they don't have like phones or anything to show him, he can't exactly prove it, right? So Naruto still goes on believing he's weak and not having the balls to like do anything for himself, because it's like nobody's there to kind of like show him that like he is OP, but it's like he just continues not believing it. And so eventually the day would come where Gatsu's men arrive, and Team 7, because Naruto sees that these are just little bandits, he would decide that okay, maybe he'll help out a little bit. So using his swordsman skills and a couple of shadow clones, all of Team 7 would be able to easily dismantle all of Gatsu's men, leading to the first W of Team 7's C rank mission being completed, and Team 7 obviously returning back to Konoha, where they would be rewarded handsomely for their efforts on the C rank mission. Once they arrive in the tower, they would all be compensated for the mission, and all's well that ends well. As anime fans, we love to show our support to our favorite series by rocking their anime apparel. But one thing I've noticed is that it's awfully expensive, and a normal hoodie can range from anywhere to $60 to $70, which is just ludicrous to me. So I partnered up with Fandom to bring you guys some of the most affordable merch in the game. Except not only is it affordable, it is dirt cheap right now, since they're having a 50% off sale site-wide until Christmas. After that, this offer will be completely gone, so click on the link and save yourself an extra 15% off the already 50 by using the code Xehther at checkout, and I promise you guys will not be disappointed. So go ahead and check out Fandom and let me know what you guys think. Picking off the story right where we had left off, we pretty much started everything off with Kakashi introducing the Chunin exams prospect to the team. Now Sasuke would immediately jump at the opportunity to participate in the Chunin exams, having just awakened his Sharingan and having, wanting to prove himself. Sakura would be willing to, because obviously Sasuke said he's down, so Sakura, being the trash bag she is, would be willing to do anything for her Sasuke-kun. But Naruto's a whole different story. See, the thing with Naruto is, like, I just don't see him in any world agreeing to this. It would kind of be similar to the situation where Tanjiro and Inosuke were wanting to go up the hill with the spiders, and Zenitsu was like very, very adamant of not going up there. But in the end, he finally had to, because it's like, he kind of had to, right? And what I think would happen here is if Naruto was weak and he was claiming that he didn't want to, he would probably be like, all right, then you don't have to. But since Kakashi literally witnessed Naruto quite literally kill Zabuza right in front of him, a feat that not even he was able to accomplish without his Sharingan, it definitely shook him. and it made him realize that Naruto has so much power within himself that he just doesn't show, power within himself that he not even himself is aware of. So Kakashi wants Naruto to realize this, and so he tells Naruto privately that he has to participate, telling him that to be a ninja and to grow more powerful, you have to rise to the rankings. And becoming a Chunin is just one of those ways that Naruto's gonna have to face adversity with and have to inherently overcome those walls that are put in front of him. Naruto eventually, after a bit of screaming and be like, no, I don't want to participate, no, you can't make me, would pretty much end up kind of having to join, just because Sasuke and Sakura would both hate him if he didn't. And you know, they both gave him death stares when he said he didn't want to. So he realizes either he dies in the Chunin exams or, you know, he becomes a Chunin. So he's like, whatever, I'm gonna die soon anyway, so might as well happen now and have Sakura on good terms with me at the very minimum, right? And that's pretty much what ends up happening, in which, you know, they eventually have the little exams that they do to pretty much test if all the rookies are ready. And when it comes to Naruto, what would end up happening with him is basically that when a ninja tries to pretty much attack him, he would essentially be sleeping. Like, he's already asleep, he's not awake. And when the ninja busts into his house and he's like ready to ambush Naruto, Naruto would literally be sleeping. And the ninja would wonder how come he didn't wake up. Like, bro, any other ninja would have woken up to the slightest movement, but this kid, he just straight stayed knocked. He does not care about his life. And Naruto's sitting there like just snoring, bro. And the ninja's like just looking at him, and Naruto just pretty much like looks at the direction of the ninja, like with his eyes closed. And you know, underneath him, under the blanket, he grabs a sword and just slashes right at the guy's chest, cutting him, sending him flying to the ground. As you know, a shadow clone would pop, and you know, it would kind of realize that Naruto's definitely ready. Even in his sleep, he was able to defend, which, you know, the shadow clone was Iruka, and it would be very interesting for Iruka to see that. And also, just quick tangent, Iruka and Naruto don't have the same bond as in canon. It's a little different. Instead, Naruto has that kind of bond with Hiruzen, you know, the man who trained him since he was a kid. And that's pretty much the kind of bond that he's going to be having with him. And Iruka's kind of going to be more or less an irrelevant character in this what if, but you know what I mean? Like, Iruka's kind of irrelevant in Naruto in general, so it doesn't really matter anyways. But, you know, regardless of that, we do jump into what happens next. And what happens next is pretty much just the culmination of everything up until now, which is pretty much just all of them making their way towards the Chunin Tower and beginning to get ready to take the exams. When they're in there, obviously we still have the encounter against Rock Lee, with him telling the Team 7 that pretty much like he wants to face off against Sasuke. And the encounter essentially goes down just like it would in canon, because Naruto's power up and new abilities won't change Sasuke's power level. So he still gets folded like an omelet. And following this small interaction, Sasuke would be very, very jealous of Naruto, because if Naruto was there, Sasuke himself kind of feels as if he would have been able to handle him, just because of that speed that he was able to see Naruto use when he was fighting off against Zabuza. And due to this, he would finally snap at Naruto, asking him what he's playing at, being like, why do you act so weak when you are probably the strongest in the group? Like, why do you do that? And Naruto's like, what? I don't know what you're talking about. Like, Sasuke, you're freaking me out. You're scaring me. Like, get away from me, right? And Sasuke's like, no, Naruto, you have more power inside you than you realize. Why won't you just be open with it and like be honest? Just use your real strength. You don't have to fake being asleep every time you do something. And Naruto looks at Sasuke and he's like, I'm not faking anything. And he like just gives him this stare that just tells Sasuke that Naruto is not lying. Like, not a single part of Naruto is inherently being malicious or having any double intent with what he's saying. So Sasuke ends up having to believe Naruto, and so they continue on with the first portion of the exam, which is pretty much just the written part, which would go just like it would in canon, leading to the interaction between Anko, Orochimaru, and Naruto, and eventually they're entering into the Forest of Death, right? Now, once they get into the Forest of Death, not really a lot would really change, honestly. He still goes out there to take a leak, and a snake does still come by and try to eat him. But Naruto, being the absolute scaredy cat that he is, would know, because he's always wary of his surroundings, and just begins to run away from the snake. Instead of like having some cool moment where he cuts the snake or something like that, he literally just begins running. He's like, no, it's a snake, right? Like, he's just running away at full speed. And eventually, he runs right in front of Sasuke and Orochimaru with this gigantic snake in front of him, and Orochimaru wondering what this kid is doing. Eventually though, Naruto would continue running away from the snake, and he would begin interfering with the battle with Sasuke and Orochimaru, to the point where Orochimaru pretty much ends up like de-summoning the snake, and Naruto would stand right in front of Sasuke, like holding his knees, like holding down as if he's tired, be like, that was scary, right? He looks at Sasuke and he's like, so what are we? And then he senses that presence of Orochimaru, and he slightly looks up at him, and Orochimaru like sticks his tongue out and begins licking his lips, and Naruto has this face like he just seen a ghost and just falls on the ground, right? And Orochimaru looks at him and laughs, and he's like, what a pathetic loser, right? But Naruto's on the ground, and Sasuke is like looking at Naruto, sweat drop on his forehead, just thinking, Naruto, come on, I know you have the power to do something, get us out of here, right? And so what Naruto pretty much ends up doing is like just staying on the ground. That is, until Orochimaru extends his neck, and Sasuke still is unable to move without even piercing his leg with a kunai, just like he does in the original, and to, you know, get out of the fear. But Naruto like blitzes at him with a sword in hand, and he goes over to strike at Orochimaru's neck. The sword basically gets like halfway through, and Orochimaru uses this jutsu that pretty much makes it so that he wasn't able to get cut. Like he uses the substitution right as the sword hit the wow, I did not expect that. And so basically what happens is Naruto was able to rush at the direction of Orochimaru and just straight slash at his neck. But before he was able to completely cut the thing off, Orochimaru was able to use the substitution jutsu to barely, and I mean this, barely make it out of there. He would survive with his neck pretty much in one piece still, but it's like, it was not by a lot. Like Naruto almost killed Orochimaru. And Orochimaru would be quite shocked at the power and speed display that this kid just showed. That was an incredible feat of strength. Not to mention, Naruto still hasn't even shown the abilities of the Nine Tails and hasn't even tapped into that ever. So that's not even something that he's even shown off yet. Could you imagine Thunder Breathing form with KCM and Sage Mode on top? Bro, the dude's basically going to be the Flash. But anyways, regardless of that, we pretty much end up having Orochimaru be like, you almost killed me, you bastard. And like Naruto just standing there in a very serious motion as he just, you know, uses a lightning style, thunder breathing, and he blitzes at Orochimaru once more, right? Orochimaru would begin getting like caught off guard, and he would have to regurgitate himself before he gets cut in half completely. And Orochimaru would actually get fairly worried at the kid. But since Naruto's already knocked out and he's not displaying the abilities of the Nine Tails, Orochimaru was like, I gotta kill this kid. But Sasuke would finally be able to react, and using a jutsu, a fire style, would be able to keep Orochimaru away just long enough for Anko to actually arrive and be able to stop the entire situation from happening. So pretty much because Naruto was able to actually scare and threaten Orochimaru just a bit, I mean, he is using levels of speed comparable to the Raikage, he would be able to actually keep up with Orochimaru just a bit, and Sasuke would be extremely impressed because he would have unlocked his two Tomoe Sharingan and one Tomoe in each eye respectively, and him being able to actually watch Naruto move would be so impressive to him because Naruto is moving with such finesse, such speed, such grace that it looks as if he's dancing. Like, it's incredible watching Naruto fight off against Orochimaru. But eventually they make their way towards the tower of the Chunin exams and have the preliminary battles being escorted by Anko, as they don't even have to face the tribulations of the Sound Squad, and Sasuke doesn't get the curse mark, and Naruto doesn't go crazy with the Kurama amp that he gets in the original. So that's something good that happens from this interaction. But apart from that, we pretty much just have the Kiba fight between Naruto and Sasuke versus the guy who can blatantly absorb chakra, right? So the guy that could absorb chakra, he does his thing, but since Sasuke doesn't have the handicap that he does in the original, Sasuke would end up taking this victory very, very easily, and it would be a very easy, difficult fight, like low diff fight, right? But for Naruto versus Kiba, I'm just going to be saying that it's going to be definitely a mid-diff fight, since Naruto has access to Thunder style, or, you know, lightning style. He would be able to use jutsus along those lines. and he would use a jutsu that is pretty much the like he would be able to shoot a large stream of lightning similar to what Madara does, except without the sage mode amp, right? The 6-path sage senjutsu amp, and it would shoot at Kiba, and when he's using his fang over fang, it would just kind of like shock him into like being able to just be taken out, and Naruto would be deemed the winner of that match, leading to Hinata versus Neji, and Naruto getting extremely enraged when Neji actually ended up hurting Hinata. By the way, guys, I do apologize for hitting my mic right now. But basically, Naruto would be like, yo, like, you can't hit girls, bro. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, or at least you can't hit them that hard, right? And Neji would be like, huh, you're a simp, you know, like, just basically calling him a simp before the word simp even existed. And Naruto doesn't take too kindly to that. Let's just say Naruto's going to be having a little bit of newfound motivation to actually get stuff done in these next Chunin exams that are about to take place. And by that, I mean the finals. So pretty much Naruto looks at Neji and he just has this determination that he has just blatantly never had before. Hinata's probably been one of the only girls that's ever been nice to him, and Naruto seeing Hinata in that state because of Neji would kind of hit something inside of Naruto, strike a chord that has never been hit before, right? And Naruto is just in this state of mind where he's like, I'm gonna train so incredibly hard that Neji is going to fear me, right? And so pretty much what happens is they go on their 1-month training period, and Naruto, instead of asking Kakashi for any training whatsoever, Naruto decides that the best way to train is to start from the basics. So he pretty much makes his way towards the Forest of Death. Yeah, I know, crazy. Naruto goes into the Forest of Death, and the reason that he's able to even muster this up is because he is essentially thinking about Hinata and about how Neji hit her, right? He's thinking about how he hit her, and he does not like this. Plus, Naruto's senses in terms of like hearing are pretty cracked, just because he's able to detect danger from even like this, like the faintest sounds ever. And you know, he's able to like stay in the Forest of Death and pretty much just sit down and meditate. And anytime that anything comes near him, he would pretty much be able to quickly just absolutely just destroy them, right? He's able to absolutely destroy them, literally. It's so incredibly powerful. Not only that, but when Zenitsu or Naruto pretty much puts his mind up to something, he is not going to be backing down from anything. Nothing at all is going to be making him back down from any single challenge. And so he would continue working on his first form, Thunderclap and Flash, and he would end up working on his sixfold, another technique that's pretty much created by the Thunderclap and Flash, which just augments his power a little bit with his dashes, right? And then we have the eightfold, where it's pretty much still the Thunderclap and Flash, but he pretty much strikes 8 different positions while he, you know, gauges the power of his speed and dashes, right? And then we have his, you know, Godspeed, which is pretty much what he uses to essentially destroy things. And then we have the last form that he's going to pretty much be developing, which is going to be the 7th form, Flaming Thunder God. Except he's going to be knowing it as a 2nd form, Flaming Thunder God. It's pretty much something that he's going to be creating during the 1 month of training, because he stays in the Forest of Death through fear the entire time, in a old wrinkly shack that he finds, and he pretty much is able to conquer tons of fears, like his fear of the dark, his fear of spiders, and a lot of other fears that come and go. And the only reason he's able to do this is because the dude is pretty much fighting not for himself, but for somebody else. And this somebody else is Hinata. This is the thing that's able to push Naruto in order to finally get over these primal fears that he's had for the longest time. But regardless, what would end up happening here is we end up having a period of time where Naruto finally emerges from the forest, and it would be 1 day prior to the Chunin exams begin, right? So Naruto would stand out, and it was almost as if his muscles, his leg muscles had grown. His understanding of chakra affinity would have gone through the roof, and his lightning style would have pretty much been augmented so much due to the insane training that he put himself through, right? Now, once all was said and done, he would end up making his way towards his favorite ramen shop and just kind of like smelling the aroma. in a very cartoon fashion begin to float up in the air and like follow the smell, just because like he really wants some ramen, because over the past month he's had to capture his own food, and that kind of trained him to become more hardened in terms of like his abilities and stuff like that. So pretty much just imagine Tanjiro's type of training, but like in the forest of death. And that's pretty much what we get, except just fine tune it to what Zenitsu needs. And so it's more or less leg training, because the speed needs to be insanely fast in order for him to be able to defeat Neji. So essentially he pretty much ends up having a delicious bowl of ramen, might I add, and then making his way towards his crib, where he would just pass out for the entirety of the day and end up almost oversleeping. It's about 10 minutes before his fight starts. He grabs his kimono and he rushes towards the direction of the Chunin tower, using his max speed and running ability to make his way over there, right? Once he arrives, he would end up realizing that the first couple of battles were already over, and now it was finally his turn for his Neji versus Naruto battle. Something inside of him would feel fear, but he would bury that deep within himself, and he would stay awake for the very first time ever. This time around, he would use a chakra lightning cloak, and it would embed itself within Naruto as the lightning would flash yellow with like yellow sparks of electricity that would just like it would crackle off of him. And Neji would look at the direction of Naruto, just being like, what is that, right? But as soon as the proctor says go, Naruto would immediately look towards the direction of Neji and say, 7th form, Flaming Thunder God, as this like dragon ethereal thing would just pretty much create itself in the eyes of Neji as it comes flying in towards the direction of himself, and Naruto pierces straight into the belly of Neji at a place where it wouldn't be like exactly like death threatening, but he's not going to be able to like move or fight for the rest of the day. But as soon as Neji gets pierced, he coughs out blood and would be laying on the ground in pure agony. Naruto would have just absolutely dismantled Neji, and he would be laughing as he had just done that. It was so exciting, so exhilarating. Something about it just filled his body with this feeling of like, yes, like finally, like I was able to defeat him, right? And Neji, who would be on the ground, would just be like, ow. And Naruto looks at him with a stare of just like, you disrespected Hinata. Eventually, Hinata watching up on the stands would be very, very flattered, and Naruto looks up to Hinata, gives her the biggest smile ever, and he would say, I did it, Hinata, for you. And, you know, he walks over to her, and she's like, Naruto-kun, like, thank you. And Naruto looks at her, and he's like, don't worry, thank you. Because of you, I was able to overcome a lot of fears, and I just generally feel like a new person. Kakashi comes behind Naruto and he's like, how you doing, buddy? And Naruto screams, he's like, what happened? And you know, he sees Kakashi, and you know, Hinata and Kakashi laugh, and they're like, still the same old Naruto that we all know and love. And Hinata would be like, you know, there's nothing wrong with being scared of things. Being scared is what shows that you're brave, because even when you're scared, you're able to rush into the line of fire and do what has to be done. Just so you know, Naruto, I really want to say thank you for what you did for me. And, you know, she bows down and gives him this ointment, saying that, you know, it looks like he has a couple of bruises. Naruto would take the ointment and feel very, very happy at this, and so would pretty much look towards the direction of Hinata, give her a big smile, and walk off, being completely oblivious to the signs that are clearly pointing to the fact that Hinata is in love with him. But because I'm not going to be focusing on the ship for this what if, I don't really care about that. Anyways though, but what happens after this is the general Sasuke stuff, which is pretty much Sasuke versus Gaara, with him implementing the abilities that he would have learned with Kakashi, such as Rock Lee's taijutsu speed and abilities, and him pretty much piercing Gaara's perfect defense shell with a Chidori, just coming down looking like a complete badass, just being like, Chidori, right? And once he does this, Gaara just ends up pretty much being carried away by the Sand siblings, with Sasuke chasing after him, being like, hey yo, run me my match, y'all are not finna get away with my prey, right? And you know, pretty much one thing leads to another, and would lead Sasuke to be in the forest of death, having to fight off against Kankuro, who says that he'll stay behind while Temari continues carrying Gaara, right? And what pretty much ends up happening here is Shino appears next to Sasuke and would be like, I'll take this fight. I was supposed to fight him in the Chunin exams anyways, so I want to see who could actually win. And Sasuke looks at him, nods, and Shino begins to fight off against Kankuro. The battle ends up in a draw just like in the original, and then we have the Shinobi who ended up facing off against Temari. I forget who it was this time around, but you all know that somebody ends up fighting off Tamari, right? Now, obviously, Tamari gets taken out, and then Sasuke goes on to pretty much go find Gaara and pretty much pierce him with a Chidori about 2 times before finally resorting to his final one and having to pierce at the direction of Gaara, leading Gaara to almost actually kill Sasuke. But in a moment of desperation, Naruto would finally rush in without passing out, and using his first form, Thunderclap and Slash, he would pretty much be able to blitz at the direction of essentially Sasuke, grabbing him mid-air and throwing him on top of a tree, being like, "Sasuke, what were you thinking? Your chakra levels are already low. You could have died right there if it wasn't for me." And Sasuke looks at Naruto and he's like, "Naruto-kun, watch out!" Naruto ends up having to dodge out of the way, but it's so easy for him because he has this Godspeed mode activated that would lead Naruto to look at Gaara and just say, "Fine, you want to act as if you're so strong? Fine, let's dance." And he blitzes at the direction of Gaara, cutting off all of his limbs immediately, and then hitting Gaara across the top of the head with the hilt of his blade, leading Gaara to essentially fall unconscious, and the Saiyan siblings to finally make their way towards Gaara's direction, leading them to pretty much carry him out of danger, and Naruto to look at them and say to never try to pretty much fight off against the Hidden Leaf Village again, right? Now, Naruto at this moment is having a current moment of just huge character development, just because his fears are almost single-handedly taken out by the Chunin exam period that he trained for 1 month. And not to mention right now, he was able to realize how much power he truly has inside of him without needing to fall asleep for the first time. It's incredible. Naruto feels extremely proud of himself, and he would be extremely happy overall at the fact that he was able to help in terms of the battle that's going on. He looks at Sasuke and asks him if he needs some help getting back to the village, and Sasuke scoffs, saying, "No, loser," as he smiles and they walk towards the direction of the Leaf Village. Sasuke this time around isn't beat by Naruto because of some strange power that he always gloated, or because, Naruto was always weaker than him, but Sasuke from the very beginning, when he saw Naruto fight off against Zabuza, was able to realize that Naruto was on a completely different level, and that power within him was just hidden. It was waiting to be tapped into. Even Kakashi told this to Sasuke, that Naruto might even be more powerful than him. So his ego would kind of still be in the way, but not half as much. Regardless though, they make their way back to the village, and once there, Naruto has to pretty much sit there and bear witness to Orochimaru versus the 3rd Hokage. And he pretty much ends up punching at the barrier, being like, "No, no, no, let me in," right? And his attempts are futile, right? Because the Sound 4 are holding up the barrier, and Naruto just has to watch as Hiruzen falls to the ground with a smile on his face, and Orochimaru retreats alongside the Sound 4, with Naruto pretty much rushing over to the body of Hiruzen and crying over it, saying, "Gramps, how could you? You sacrificed yourself for the village. Why did you have to die?" Right? And he's just screaming in classic anime fashion, and we pretty much cut to a black scene until eventually we cut to the funeral of the 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. And in this day, we would pretty much just see Naruto feel the effects of, Hiruzen's death way harder than he does in the original. Eventually, Jiraiya would take a knock at Naruto's door and would pretty much end up informing him that his name is Jiraiya the Gallant, and that he is the guy who's going to be training him from now on. Naruto says that he's not interested in training with some random old man, and Jiraiya is like, whoa, buddy, I'm not just some random old man, I'm a sage. This is the experience of a lifetime, kid. You're throwing away this golden opportunity. And Naruto is just like, I don't really care. He's still feeling sorry for himself and pretty upset at the fact that he lost Sarutobi. And Jiraiya just looks at him and says, "Kid, you're coming with me one way or the other, right?" And so he just ends up chopping the back of Naruto's neck while he was just feeling sorry for himself, right? So he's clearly not in a strong mind state, and he's kind of beginning to sort of revert back to how he was before his character development slightly. But Jiraiya drags him with him on the search for Tsunade mission, just because he wasn't able to find Naruto during the 1 month of training, which is what he was trying to do. But when he did find him, Naruto was already busy training, and so Jiraiya decided to leave him alone and not interfere with that. But now Jiraiya decided that it was about the time that Naruto learned about his heritage and about a jutsu that he could potentially teach him. 2 jutsus actually, the summoning jutsu as well as the Rasengan. And when Naruto wakes up, he pretty much sees that he's being carried by this man with white hair as he jumps off and he's like, "What are you doing? Why would you kidnap me?" And Jiraiya's like, "Relax, kid, I'm not kidnapping you. I'm your godfather." And Naruto's like, "Godfather? What are you talking about?" Jiraiya's like, "We're family, kid. I knew your father back in the day." And Naruto's like, "Who's my father then?" And Jiraiya just simply looks down and thinks, well, Hiruzen never told him, I might as well. He looks at him and says, "Kid, your father was the fastest shinobi to have ever lived, Minato Namikaze, and it looks like you've taken up a whole lot after him with that little lightning style of yours. It seems very reminiscent to that of the 4th Raikage A's. It's incredible. Your speed and the talent that you displayed in the Chunin exams was incredible." Naruto looks at Jiraiya and he says, "Well, so my father was the 4th? And Jiraiya was like, "Yeah, he was quite the prodigy. Reminds me somewhat of you, except he wasn't half as scared of things." And Naruto, just after having this realization finally kick in that he is the son of a Hokage, he would kind of have this smile on his face saying that he's glad. But he doesn't know what that has to do with him, and Jiraiya says that, well, for now, since Hiruzen died, they need to search for another Hokage, because without somebody to lead the village, they will all fall to other great nations, and that war will be going throughout the nations and stuff like that, right? And, Naruto, after hearing that, would be like, "Fine, I'll help you, just because I don't want war to wage around the country in every day-to-day activity." Jiraiya has a smile on his face, and he also tells him that he's also here to teach him a couple of jutsus, and thus begins the training arc for learning the Rasengan and the summoning jutsu. We're going to be picking our story off in a very interesting place. I mean, sure, Naruto and Jiraiya just left off to pursue their 1-month training, or not really 1-month training journey, but I assume that it's literally like 1 month worth of them looking for Tsunade, is what I've always assumed. But generally, I think that because it's 1 month, I think that at around the 2-week mark, right when Naruto was learning the Rasengan and in the process of trying to understand it, I feel like what should happen here is essentially that during this point, Jiraiya obviously goes off and he's pretty much telling Naruto to go back to the hotel room, right? He's off to do some research. Naruto would be in his hotel room pretty much just waiting for Jiraiya to return, trying to practice on the Rasengan, as suddenly he hears 2 knocks on the door, and Naruto's like, "Who is it?" Walks over to the door and without thinking about it, just opens it wide open. Seeing the eyes of Itachi Uchiha and Kisame right in front of him, Naruto immediately realizes that he is in grave danger. Naruto jumps back and he's like, "What are you doing here? What do you want?" Right, just sensing the overwhelming chakra presence that these 2 monsters have, right? Naruto looks at Itachi and Itachi says, "You're coming with us. You can do this the hard way or the easy way." And Naruto looks right at the direction of Kisame, who has this devious smile on his face, as Naruto just decides, he's like, I can't beat these guys. Like, in no world will I be able to defeat them. So what does Naruto do? Naruto does the only thing that he can pretty much come up with. When you're in doubt, run away. So Naruto pretty much activates the lightning cloak that the Raikage uses, and it would be yellow lightning for him, right? The lightning sparks off of him and his eyes, like they glow like a whitish color, as bam, he takes his sword out and just slashes at the window and cuts it open, breaking through and just like lunging out parkour style as he begins running from rooftop to rooftop, jumping from building to building. Kisame and Itachi would both be shocked at the speed that some genin is displaying, let alone the 9 tails Jinchuriki, and Kisame would have a big smile on his face saying, "So, we have a powerful Jinchuriki on our hands." Itachi says don't underestimate the kid, and from here, they pretty much rush over towards the direction of Naruto, right? They're both pretty much trying their best to keep up. Kisame is more of a brawler type and he is definitely incredibly fast, so I think that they would both be able to keep up with him, but it would be very impressive to them the fact that Naruto was able to even run from them, like let alone like just keep up with them, right? It's crazy to them because not a lot of ninjas have the ability to even do anything close to that. But Naruto continues running, and with the commotion in the town going off, Jiraiya would eventually be notified of this as Naruto rushes towards the direction of rooftop to rooftop, and eventually Jiraiya is like, "I need to excuse myself." he immediately, using his his summoning jutsu, would pretty much ask to essentially locate Naruto, and this gigantic toad would stand before Naruto and Itachi and Kisame. They look at it and Kisame smiles. He's like, "Get in our way and we'll cut you down, Toad." And the Toad says, "I can't do that," right? He then immediately proceeds to like swallow Naruto and just jump away, right? And eventually, when they start chasing the Toad, like laughing about it, Jiraiya uses the Toad Mouth Jutsu on them, as the Toad would have led them inside of a hotel room where they're inside of an enclosed area. Eventually, Jiraiya uses the Toad Mouth Jutsu, and because they're not in the same hotel room that they would have been in the original when Sasuke barges in, this would mean that the encounter between Jiraiya and Kisame would go just like usual, with the exception of Sasuke's non-presence. He's not there because Naruto run away. He didn't just stand there and and wait for Sasuke to come in and be like, "Itachi," none of that stuff happened. So Naruto running away made it so that Sasuke was just a bit late, and all he got to see was his brother's back turned on him as he ran away, and Sasuke just had his anger boil up inside of him. But, he was just kind of glad that Naruto was safe. Eventually, after this, he ends up embarking on the mission with Naruto and Jiraiya to go find Tsunade, and they would do so with the mission having a pretty relative difficulty behind it. I mean, the only difficult part was getting Tsunade to join, and she does join after Naruto ends up landing a single punch, or a single sword strike. He pretty much ends up, how do I put this? You know how your arm is normally connected to your body? He pretty much ends up making that not the case. And because that's not the case, she ends up having to join them, right? Because he was actually able to land a blow. I think that the Raikage would definitely be able to have comparable speed to hit Tsunade, so I think that Naruto being able to do this would be fairly understandable, right? But because of this said fact, she ends up having to join, and so ends up informing them about Orochimaru's proposal to essentially return him his arms. This would lead to Kabuto and Orochimaru versus all of them, and by all of them I mean Sasuke, Naruto, Tsunade, and Jiraiya. Noticing that they're outmatched and that Orochimaru finally has the presence of Sasuke with him, he decides that the only best choice to go about right now is not exactly capture Tsunade or get her to come with them, but essentially capture Sasuke. Because he realizes, okay, Kabuto is powerful, but he's not powerful enough to take out that Naruto kid that almost killed him, and Sasuke at the same time, with the Sharingan. So Orochimaru pretty much ends up using some pretty effed up tactics to essentially catch the team off guard, and eventually end up grabbing Sasuke using the reverse summoning jutsu to take him with him, leading to the Sasuke retrieval arc happening just like it would in canon, except this time Kakashi and many other Jonin ninjas would actually be readily available for the task. They begin searching for Orochimaru, but because they don't have any tracks to go off of, Sasuke pretty much ends up being taken by Orochimaru by force, given the curse mark surviving it, and once he gets a taste of the power, he would pretty much end up accepting Orochimaru's proposal for giving him strength. Sasuke would be quite happy, and then we would now cue the 3-year time skip. Now, during this time skip, Sasuke would end up achieving the same power that he would in canon, with Naruto actually pretty much developing a couple other techniques from the lightning style, abilities that he has. Not from breathing styles, because it's he is Zenitsu's reincarnation and not just learning the thunder breathing forms from random people, but he's learning the thunder breathing from himself. He would have actually developed 2 more techniques. Obviously, he has the thunder, the flaming thunder god, and then he has the thunderclap and flash. He's also going to develop 2 other techniques where basically he is going to use his lightning ability to essentially bring lightning down, similar to what Kirin does, except at a much smaller scale. He just points his sword at something and just bam, a lightning bolt comes flying down. That's another technique that he's going to be using, but his last one would pretty much just be a spinning lightning like saucer attack. He jumps up into the air and just like a wheel, like Tanjiro's water wheel, just bam, just becomes so fast that it's like Sonic, and it just cuts people in half. But other than that, he would have also been very, very adept with his lightning, and he pretty much would have perfected it better than anybody else has. His lightning cloak would be off the chart strong, and he would have finally understood the abilities of the Nine Tails. And by understood, I mean have good access to about 3 of the Nine Tails' tails. to his disposal without losing his mind. If he goes into Four Tails, it's a different story. But because he's training to pretty much defeat Orochimaru, he just needs a little bit more of an edge. And now he finally has that edge. Because of that, they return to the village, and during this, they pretty much end up having the same encounter with Kakashi, Tsunade, and the rest of the villagers that are in Konoha. When Naruto returns and sees Hinata, he is immediately shocked. He sees Hinata and he's like, oh my god, Hinata, you grew into your body well. And Hinata would, she just passes out after hearing that from Naruto. Naruto from there goes on to pretty much be like, Hinata, and he just stays right next to her, like not leaving her side, because like it's Zenitsu, bro. Like, I mean, it's Naruto. He's not gonna be just leaving her on the ground passed out. She wakes up in his arms and he's like, thought I lost you there. He's like, how you doing? Good looking. And Hinata, she's just like, oh my god, like Naruto's flirting with me, right? Like that's all she's thinking. She's like, I'm in paradise. And Naruto's looking at Hinata, and so it would be like at around this point that they realize that they kind of both have feelings for each other, and they finally end up making it kind of a thing, right? I feel like I might as well do this since it's Zenitsu's character. So they end up going out for a ramen date, and because this time around I'm not quite sure if Naruto would have given Gaara the Talk no Jutsu, I'm just going to be under the assumption that Gaara essentially stayed evil. I mean, without Naruto's Talk no Jutsu, would he have probably had a little bit of character development? Probably. Would he have become the Hokage? Kazekage, sorry. I, generally speaking, don't really think so. I don't think Gaara had it in himself to become a Kage without that motivation speech from Naruto and canon, so I don't think that that's going to be happening here either. So this would pretty much just lead us back into Team 7 just going on irregular missions for about 1 week to 2 months. No, let's say 2 weeks. No, let's say 2 months, right? 2 months. They go on regular missions. Team 7 is pretty much just composed of Kakashi, Naruto, Sakura, and random, other shinobi that they have laying around from the, the people that they graduated with, like Hinata and Neji and stuff like that. But because of this said fact, they're able to pretty much go through and essentially complete a bunch of missions, racking up their monies as, they get pretty recognized in the village. And eventually people start talking differently about Naruto, seeing him in a different light, as Naruto at the same time is pretty much just advancing his relationship with Hinata during this entire period of time that they have together. What ends up happening from here on forward is a very strange mix of Sasuke going after his brother Itachi and Naruto, as at this current moment, pretty much being faced with the task of going over and defeating Kakuzu. The way that they do this is by developing the Rasen Shuriken Jutsu just like they would in the original, and it would be a very, very interesting situation because Naruto's affinity isn't actually going to be his wind style this time. It's going to be lightning. So what does Naruto develop instead of what he did in the original? The ability to actually throw his Rasengan and make them invisible, which is going to be quite helpful considering that Kisame or Kakuzu won't be able to even see the Rasengans coming. Sasuke still would have ended up gathering Taka, and his battle against Itachi would remain relatively similar to canon, with Naruto's encounter against Kakuzu actually changing quite dramatically. In the original, Naruto failed a couple of times to land the Rasengan, but because Kakuzu's not even able to see this lightning charge Rasengan that would have actually done quite a bit of damage to even Otsutsuki level gods in Boruto, I think is going to be making almost the same amount of damage as a Wind Rasen Shuriken. Obviously not that crazy, but it would definitely be more than enough to actually pierce Kakuzu's rock skin that he actually has around himself that makes him so durable as he actually is. This would lead Naruto to defeating Kakuzu and, him being able to after, landing that lightning style Rasengan would be able to pretty much obliterate Kakuzu, right? And use a couple more with more shadow clones coming in, defeating Kakuzu, leaving him not destroyed to the atomical level, but definitely destroyed to the point where he's dead. Hidan still would be killed by Shikamaru, just like he was in the original, and this would lead all of Team 7 and the rest of the other teams to pretty much return to Konoha, having accepted the fact that they finally avenged Asuma Sensei. During this time period, Jiraiya would end up going after Pain in the village hidden in the rain, and Naruto would be tasked to essentially go learn Sage Mode after finding out about Jiraiya's apparent death. 1 week would go by, and eventually Naruto would have this final showdown between himself and Pain, and this is where things would begin to slightly change, because now Naruto not only has access to 3 of the tails without losing consciousness, but he now also has access to Sage Mode, an ability that boosts his overall stats, his hearing, his senses, and with his stats already being extremely boosted because of the overall ability that he has, which is Thunder Breathing, he would be a complete monster. Like, pretty much just imagine Naruto in the position that he was in canon, just like so much faster, with like Raikage's levels of speed amped by Sage Mode, amped by 3 tails of the 9 tails. It is absolutely insane how fast Naruto would be able to move. Naruto would be able to blitz in and literally destroy 4 of the paths of pain before Nagato even knows what hit him. His speed is so absolutely blinding that these paths would not be able to react fast enough, with Naruto being able to blatantly just destroy these paths of pain and eventually make his way towards the upper stronger ones, which are the ones with the summoning jutsu, you know, the one that can rip your soul out, and the diva path that can push and repel objects. Naruto would have that ability used on him quite a couple of times, and they would try to fight him from a long range distance, while Naruto tries to eventually use his Sage Mode and his Thunder Breathing with his Lightning Cloak to try to tag them each. It would prove to be rather difficult, and eventually Naruto would decide that he needs to snap into his even further levels of speed. He ends up tapping into the 3 tails of the 9 tails' powers, and from here, he slightly begins to be corrupted. He blitzes at the direction of one of the paths of pain, which is the summoning path, and he would absolutely destroy it, cutting its head straight off of its body as he lunges towards the other one and would be right about to pierce him as the diva path repels him back and uses the Shinra Tensei. Essentially, or no, was it the Chibaku Tensei? Pretty much like shooting him up into the air in like a meteor. Naruto would be able to decipher that this thing won't be able to hold him, and using his ability, he would use his newfound ability, which he pretty much rolls around like Sonic the Hedgehog, just spinning in circles with his blade, cutting it. He cuts the meteor in half, and following that jumps down to the direction of pain, realizing that he needs to get this done fast. And so Naruto begins having voices from his head being heard, such as Kurama telling him that he can offer him more. Naruto says he doesn't need it, and Kurama says, "So be it then, kid, die." As Naruto pretty much is hit by one of the Pain's attacks, having rods inserted into himself, and eventually Hinata comes in, saves the day, and leaves an opening large enough for Naruto to be able to blitz at the diva path and cut its head off, leading to the eventual encounter between Naruto and Nagato happening just like in canon, and the village essentially being brought back to life. I'm not sure if I really like this part. I mean, obviously I hated Kakashi's death because it's like, it's Kakashi, bro. But like, I didn't really like the fact that we brought back all those villagers, because it's like, yeah, I get it. Like, if the villagers weren't brought back, people would hate Naruto because it's like, it's his fault that the Akatsuki is even attacking in the first place. But it's like, it doesn't hit as hard because now nobody's death, and it just does, you just don't feel a sense of like despair after this arc, and like there were actually any stakes because of the pretty much reversal in time that Pain ends up just throwing into the story. Regardless though, after this event ends up happening, Tsunade would pretty much be replaced as Hokage by Danzo, and they end up having the meeting, which is pretty much held by Raikage. Naruto would be one of the shinobis present there, right next to Tsunade, so when Sasuke ends up pretty much making his way into the room, when Raikage snaps into his lightning cloak form, Naruto would do so as well, looking at Sasuke and telling him that things don't have to be this way, with Sasuke saying that if he only knew the half of it, he would understand why he's here. Naruto says that he doesn't know that half of it, but he's on his side. Why do they need to fight? And Raikage, after hearing that, would go to punch Naruto, saying, "You're on his side!" You know, throwing a haymaker, which Naruto dodges blatantly quickly and then moves out of the way. As, you know, it would be a triangle where it's like Naruto's on one side, Sasuke's on another, and the Raikage's on another. Naruto's like, "Sasuke, stop this. You don't have to go kill the Hokages of other villages." And, you know, Sasuke's like, "You don't understand, Naruto. You never have." He ends up pretty much having his battle between B, and Naruto comes in clutch before B can even have his arm, you know, pretty much taken off by the Amaterasu, jumping in and actually landing a blow before him, using his Kurama cloak to pretty much shoot it off of himself so the Amaterasu flames can't burn him, and eventually would lead Naruto to be able to essentially hold Sasuke back long enough for Sasuke to realize that he is blatantly just outmatched. He runs off and ends up inevitably killing Danzo, and following this arc, we would have the 4th Great Shinobi World War established, which would pretty much go down just like it does in canon. Naruto still ends up meeting Killer B in the frog turtle island, and they still both end up making their way towards the shinobis, leading to the interaction between Itachi and Nagato, between Naruto and Killer B, and eventually the battle between Naruto versus Madara and the Shinobi Alliance. This is where things are going to be taking a drastic turn in the series, because it's like, yeah, this time around Naruto has quite a couple of good apps. And what do I mean by this? Well, think about it like this. He ended up actually finally getting access to his KCM form, which is what he would have used to fight off against Madara at this stage, and Madara would have considered him weak. But because of the fact that he has access to this and, he's blatantly fighting off against Madara, I think that the Nine Tails would be able to finally put his pride aside and be like, all right, Naruto, I'll lend you my chakra. And, they fist bump, and Naruto learns Kurama's name, and this would lead Naruto to pretty much use all of the abilities that he's learned up until this point to essentially just take one good look at Madara, who's standing on top of everybody after he had just pretty much dismantled the Shinobi Alliance. And before he uses the meteors, mind you, Naruto just looks at Madara, blitzes at him, and they begin to engage in this sword battle, with Madara barely being able to keep up, because keep in mind, he is blind. But what would end up happening here is Naruto would eventually push Madara back and eventually end up using his fastest, most powerful move to essentially cut Madara's head clean off of his body. Madara would admit that had he not been an Edo Tensei, he would have died to that move immediately. But because he is one, it doesn't matter what he does. Naruto simply says, check again, and Madara realizes that, Naruto actually placed a seal on him the moment that happened. Madara immediately tries to rip it off, but Naruto during this moment would be helped by Temari, and all of the other Shinobi Alliance would come in, and they would pretty much end up sealing Madara away for good, leading to Obito pretty much having to fight alone without Madara, and once Naruto makes it to the battlefield, actually being able to keep up with him, leading to the eventual defeat of, Obito and Kabuto, and the entire war pretty much just ending on an extremely good note. We don't end up having Kaguya be summoned, and so the Otsutsuki god stuff never happens in the Naruto series. I generally hated that. I hated it so much that the Otsutsuki were introduced, but it is what it is. Obviously this corporation needs to make money, and they wanted to keep Boruto as a thing. That said though, ladies and gentlemen, that pretty much ends up concluding the video of the day. With nothing else from me today, I hope you guys went on to enjoy the story, and if you did, please slap the like button, as it helps the series do a ton better in the algorithm. That said, it has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.